Hey everyone, welcome to the Fireside Chat and the Owner Op Summit. I am Wayne Craig, former owner operator lease purchase with Josue Ramos. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. On that bicycle tour still and way up north up here. So I hear you're in some warmer weather there.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've been keeping up with your journey out there. It's good to see what you're doing out there and the awareness you're raising. It's definitely something that needs to be heard.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate FreightWaves giving both of us a chance to get to some really important topics because that was lease purchase. I know that you actually own, how many trucks do you own now in your fleet?
We own three trucks. We just own three trucks. Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
still
And
small, but
well,
that's where we're.
that's what runs the industry. Are the two, three, four, five trucks from what I've read. Yeah, let me ask you something. This is a kind of a back and forth about what I wish I knew now, what I would have known then before getting into the business. I've read a lot of your stuff on LinkedIn. I thought it was a perfect choice to have you on board because you're really passionate about the three trucks that you do have. And for anyone watching this, wanting to be a true owner op, what do you wish you knew then that you actually know right now?
I think the what I wish I knew then was just realizing I didn't really know. You know, I wish I would have opened my mind up to learning a little bit more from my dad, because when he gave it to me, he kind of just like tossed it to me. He didn't really tell me too much about it, and so it was kind of a distant relationship because he went out to go work somewhere else, and so we when I started reading about it, reading about the business, the responsibilities and stuff, I wish I would have known more about the risks, the current landscape, just how hard it is to actually get good drivers, not just drivers, quality drivers. There's just the list goes on. There's a lot that I wish I knew, but I think primarily, if I were to narrow it down, I think the risk is the biggest one, because when we started, I got a little bit, we got off to a good start, and 2 weeks in, the driver crashed. The driver that my old man he got from me, and he left with the business and the equipment. He crashed 2 weeks in, 4 a.m. the day after New Year's in 2019. So the risk is really the biggest thing that I wish I would have known before getting into this business.
Yeah, you bring up a great point too, because even with the lease purchase, I could have actually gotten a couple more trucks to lease it. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't go multiple was that risk. How are you doing in the current environment? We've changed a lot since you and I've met, and even since 2019. I got into it at 2018, when right after the boom. Let's talk qualified drivers. I heard just a lot today that driver shortage, yes, maybe not. And then there's more a shortage of qualified drivers. Even with your three trucks, do you still find it tough to get that qualified driver?
I It's extremely tough, especially in the flatbed market. If there's a problem in the reefer and the dry van market, or the problem is exacerbated by the fact that in the flatbed market, in the flatbed space, you have to physically strap down the load. The risk is increased exponentially, not just for the driver themselves getting hurt, or just any type of injury and stuff like that. It's just the fact that you have to secure that load, and so a lot of times people don't know how crucial it is to put like edge protectors to make sure when you're tarping something, there's no edges that are going to cut your tarp, and there's just a lot more elements that are added to being flatbed driver. So as it is, even if there was a lot of people in the market to drive, I don't think a lot of them qualify to be considered quality drivers, because quality drivers, even as it is, even if you're looking at the dry van and the reefer market, they're still hard to come by. You know, people who know how to maneuver the truck, make sure they're driving safely, make sure they're inspecting the truck right, the equipment right. Make sure, you know, there's a lot of things that people don't think about when they're looking from the outside in that goes into being a quality driver. And whether you're an owner op or a company driver, you know, it's there's a lot that goes into it.
Oh,
So
totally
to
understand the
me,
flatbed space. I totally understand the flatbed spaces.
yeah.
I have over
Uh,
300,000 miles, flatbedding. And, that brings me to being in flatbed and being in this environment that we're in right now because, the flatbed market is hot. I found personally, I enjoyed getting out of the truck, strapping it down and knowing, what to do. When you in this market right now, is it as hot? And if there was something like you went through since 2019, ups, down, coronavirus, now we're pulling out of it. What kind of advice would you give yourself in 2019 for a market that you see right now?
in 2019, so we fell into like a pretty decent. I fell into a pretty decent situation because the driver that we had, unfortunately, he passed away that same
Oh,
year, 8 months after driving with us. But he had a really close relationship with a broker, and so that broker moves whoever he goes and works with. He would move whatever truck he was driving, and so we kind of established a really strong relationship with that broker. And the only thing that I kind of wish I would have done from 2019 was get a little bit more involved in the brokering side of things, because a lot of these shippers and nobody wants to work with the small carrier, directly. And so I feel like that would have opened up the doors, or at least would have, let me, get the wheels turning on that side of business, because everybody knows the risk, compared to the people who are actually operating the trucks is reduced significantly when you become a broker. And so, I wish there's a lot of things that I wish I would have kind of known, but I think starting the brokerage earlier would have been something that I would have really liked in order to kind of just prepare myself and open more doors for the business. But luckily that broker, they've taken care of us for these past 2 years, 3 years almost, well, 2.5 years now, and no matter what the market does, they've managed to keep our wheels turning, and so the good thing is that it's directly related to the market as a whole, because as long as dealerships and as long as trucks are getting ordered, we basically have work. And so new trucks that are manufactured out in Mexico. So as long as they're getting ordered, we pretty much have work, And so when the Corona hit, they stopped one of our trucks, and then for about 2 weeks, they stopped another one, and things kind of like got out of that, like lockdown, and there's just that surge in freight and truck orders and so ever since then we just haven't stopped, and the market is hot. The market is hot. These brokers they're coughing up a lot of money because they have to now. They have to now. And back then, they were they they didn't want to cough up any money. They were just like, no, they'll probably drop you for a cheaper truck, but now I guess you could say a lot of people in the industry are desperate to move their freight, and that's where we come in.
That's why I was so happy that you were on here, because if you're watching this and if you're a truck driver and you're thinking about doing lease purchase or straight up owner op, there are true differences, as you are mentioning, huge differences on how much. That's why I got into the lease purchase. I had the money in the bank at the time, and I did not know. I was getting some advice that if you don't know the brokering market, if you don't know certain things, you can start with lease purchase and then you can build yourself up. And you went right into it. You went straight into it, where I was trying to give myself some time. Now, very quickly, a little bit of background. When I came in 2018, very quickly, General Motors, they went on us, or I did about a good year, then they went on strike, so I got caught and the General Motors strike, and I did the automotive parts, and then coronavirus hit, so I got kind of double whammied on that. So if I was, doing what you're doing, I would have had to exponentially know more. And so for me personally, what I wish I would have known, I wish I would have known more about what you're talking about. So I could have went straight up owner op. So that kind of thing. We're both kind of saying the same thing. We both need to learn a little bit more about the industry. But talking about freight and the differences from 2019 to now, and like how hot it is, are your trucks rolling like all the time right now, nonstop?
Yeah, and the drivers is the biggest issue. Unfortunately, we had the main broker we were working with. He unfortunately he took his life, and but he, like I mentioned, before in 2019 and in 2020 and up until now, if we had a driver that wanted to work all year, they would move our truck all year. So we're in a pretty sweet spot where we're at. And but regardless, what I've seen is because obviously we're from Douglas, Arizona. It's a small town, it's a small border town, and there's not much that goes out, or especially in the main commodity that goes out of Douglas, Arizona is something that is coming from Mexico from the mines, and it's copper. And so. But there's not a whole lot coming in, and so we always struggle to bring our trucks back home, and so.
Right. So let me
regardless,
let me interrupt you just for a second there, because I did want to touch a little bit, because you've said two things. It sounds like you've had a little bit of tragedy in the 2 years, with the driver dying and the broker. So is that something that if you look back, would you have still gotten into it if you knew the tragedy was going to happen?
You know, when I started and that happened, I remember I was like, I told myself, what did I get myself into? Because my old man, he kind of warned me. He told me, you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know what this business is about. And he kind of just threw me in with the sharks and let me figure it out, And so, luckily, 6 months after, I hired him back, and he's with us right now. He's working with us and stuff like that. But he didn't, it was such a headache that he didn't want the business anymore. And that's kind of where I came in, and he was like, I'll give you the business, but if you don't want the business, I'm going to sell the business. And so prior to that, I had done a lot of work already. I had done a lot of work with my dad. I worked a lot for free. I'd make sure his truck, the maintenance, I'd get under the engine, and I would do everything for my old man and his equipment. I'd always try to keep up with everything. And so I knew quite a bit, but I knew a lot less than I thought I knew, And so, I was, had I known all this, I probably would have, been like, well, sell the business. I don't really want nothing to do with it. But, when that happened, I told myself, I have a choice. I can either cower from the situation and just, forget about the business and not deal with it, or I can step up to the situation and do everything I can to successfully bring this business out of where it's at. And when I did that,
I understand
I told
the passion.
myself, and so when I did that, I told myself, no matter what is going to, no matter what happens, I'm going to try to overcome it, and because where there's problems, there's opportunities, and there's a lot of problems in this industry. And so I don't regret it, I don't regret it. It is unfortunate. We've had the two brokers that were dealing with this. They did the same thing, and the driver, we lost him, but I don't regret it. That's what makes me more passionate about this industry.
And that's what drew me to your LinkedIn page was your passion and going through. I didn't know all of that, but you've been writing on some stuff about things going on. So I couldn't have been happier to have you on here, because you're really that's awesome. So you're really people are learning. There is. How you doing? It's always great to have guests, but the passion that you have for the industry to making it better. I think everyone needs to really latch onto that and say how much that you care to keep your three trucks running and basically keep America running. One of the things I wanted to talk about is, do you find it easier? Okay, back in 2019, it wasn't too bad of a market, and now it's just going crazy. Is it harder for you now because it is so busy than it was when you started in 2019?
No, I mean, I think uh, too much work is never bad. When there's not enough work and you can't get your trucks out there and it's like, yeah, to me it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to see that the brokers and the shippers and manufacturing and the people, the population in general, they're starting to open their eyes to what truckers go through, what business owners go through, and they're starting to realize the importance of taking care of the individuals who actually move the freight that basically keep the world turning. So it's really it's definitely to me it's definitely a blessing more than I would say it's harder.
Yeah, are you going on what part of 2019 did you start?
Well, I started late 2018.
Yeah,
The
just
first
like me.
confirmation I signed was December 16th, 2018. And that's exactly when I started.
Are we gonna get an introduction? It's always great to have a guest. And, so
Yeah.
as we're getting closer to the end of this, I'd love to have, since I'm doing my bicycle thing, trying to get back in shape and not actually into truck. What would be your advice? What would be your advice to people that are thinking about literally doing what you're doing and doing three trucks, four trucks? Is there things that you want them to know right out front?
I think the lease owner op is a very good choice. It's a very good choice just because of the opportunity you get to use somebody's MC. Because when you're starting out and you don't know much about it, then it becomes that much harder to actually survive in this business. And so when you start driving and maybe you drive for a year and you lease owner op for a few more or whatever, however long you feel that you need to learn everything there is about the industry as a whole, just supply chain and logistics. I think that's the way to go because a lot of people think it's easy. It's far from easy. There's just so much variables to succeeding and there's a lot of sacrifices that have to be made. And so my recommendation would be to go the lease owner op route because you can expand that way too, like you mentioned. But when you start off with your own authority, a lot of brokers, they won't work with you. A lot of shippers, they won't work with you. There's just a lot of problems. The insurance premiums are through the roof. And so it's like, to me, I think the best thing you could do is go the company driver and then the lease owner op route. And if you're doing well enough, afterwards, if you realize you really like the industry, the work and what it entails, then I would go ahead and get my own authority, but it's hard out here, and just the fact that I think statistically speaking, 2 out of every 10 new carriers survive the first year. So, the odds are against you. Yeah, the odds are against you out here, but what my favorite part about the industry and trucking is it's tied to everything. Every single business you could think of, it's tied to it, and the demand will always be there, no matter what economy, no matter what's going on in the world. trucking will always be here. It'll always be an important part of our survival, I guess you could say, And so there's a lot of opportunity out here.
Yeah, there sure is, and well said. And I think they were looking for about 10 minutes, and I think we're just about there. But I can't thank you enough uh, for coming on. And please tell everybody where they can reach out to you if they're, and I know you're on LinkedIn, but go ahead and tell everyone where they can reach out, maybe an email or telephone.
But yeah, LinkedIn is usually where I like to meet people and then kind of start sharing my contact information and stuff like that. But yeah, no, and I appreciate you for thinking of me, Wayne. I was quite surprised.
Oh no, I've been watching yours for a long time. They offered this up and said I'd really want to talk to you. Now if you want to watch me on my bike ride to get healthy again, you can reach me at Trucker Wayne at Wayne, also Trucker Wayne Craig CRAGG on Facebook. But basically I'm on LinkedIn as well, and then I do have my own GoFundMe page. I'm not collecting unemployment, and you can get that at WayneCraigPhotography.com. It's important to help me get to Seattle. And then I can't thank you enough. Everyone, if you're listening to this guy right here, he's been through a lot. He's still standing. That's why everyone loves the trucking company, or trucking industry, I should say. Thanks for everything that you do.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, man. Thank you for raising awareness. I went on for a month with my old man and I gained a couple pounds. I came back. People think it's easy to stay in shape out there and eat well, but they don't know what they're talking about, So you keep doing what you're doing and you have my support also.
Thank you. I've lost 24 pounds. My blood pressure has been at 150 going lower. So I'm doing all these hills out here, so they better be going down.
Going down. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I have a lot of admiration for what you're doing. It's not, and especially the fact you're not collecting unemployment.
That's why the GoFundMe, man, things are changing. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But we're going to wrap this thing up, and I'm sure just everyone, as you're watching this in the summit, thanks for joining us. It's very important, owner-op lease purchase. A lot of people have their own opinions on everything, but I think he mentioned it perfectly about the succession of where you should go. Just know what you're doing. Have money in that bank, too, to take care of, even if your lease purchase, to take care of things that break down. So you have a great time. Have a great day. Be safe out there. Thank you.